2003 and 2004, the end of the Ron Francis era, was a dark time for the Carolina Hurricanes, especially on offense. 2 straight years as the lowest scoring team in the league. While Jeff O'Neill and Ron Francis broke the daunting 20-goal plateau in 2003, the 2004 Canes were led in goals by Josef Vasicek with a total of 19. After the lockout for the 2005-06 season, O-Dog was gone, Ronnie Franchise was gone and then retired. All of their 20 goal scorers from the last 2 seasons were gone. Things couldn't possibly get worse than they were pre-lockout. So they got better.
When killing penalties.
And another chance here for a shorty. Justin Williams on the loose. He scores! Justin Williams with another shorty.
From 30th in goals in 2004 to 3rd in 2006. From 0 20-goal scorers to 6. Could have easily been 7 if Ray Whitney stayed healthy. So who were these 6 guys and where did they come from? Well, Eric Staal got to spend his 2005 in the AHL and rose from prospect to star. Justin Williams was an acquisition late in 2004, and he too was a breakout in 2006. Corey Stillman, a free agent signing, had a longer track record of success and production. Rod Brind'Amour was the same, though he had languished offensively with the Canes, culminating in a 38-point season in 2004, only 7 more points than he had goals in 2006. Matt Cullen and honorable mention Ray Whitney, 2 more free agent signings round out the group. Except for you, Erik Cole, huh? Erik Cole turned 27 about a month into the campaign. He had produced a bit in his 3 prior NHL seasons, but I'm not sure this was expected. He was a 3rd-round overager taken in the 1998 draft out of Clarkson, but his NCAA peers Brian Gionta and Sean Horkoff left him in the dust when it came to collegiate performance. During the lockout itself, Cole didn't have some massive revelation in another league like some of his teammates did. He produced some in the DEL, about at a 3rd-line NHL level, but outscored by true top sixers like Mike York, Jochen Hecht, and Dr. Steve Brule.
It's my first time on a jumbo jet.
Nothing about his development track screams star. He was a career 10.5% shooter, a first-liner out of necessity on the lowly 2004 Canes. But in the fall of 2005, everything changed. You look back at Cole's unremarkable run to this point and look at who he's played with. His best teammate at Clarkson was Chris Clark, who he overlapped with for only 1 year. And his best center options in Carolina were decrepit Ron Francis, too young Eric Staal, or similarly straight-lined Rod Brind'Amour. Cole was a powerhouse, extremely strong in his skates with a good shot. He needed teammates who could utilize his skills. To start the 05-06 season, Cole was given the perfect line mate, reborn Eric Staal. Staal's ranginess, passing ability, and scoring touch opened up space for Cole to rumble, and rumble he did. These two, paired with one of the stellar passers in either the Wizard Ray Whitney or Corey Stillman, were unstoppable and inseparable. While Staal racked up points on his way to the century mark, Cole scored half a goal per game, double the rate at which he had scored throughout his earlier seasons. Cole was doing this all on the 2nd power play unit. And this is in 2006, the power play year, the clutch and grab crackdown. So who knows how many goals Cole could have had. The Canes were winning too. Cole and Staal each had 2 goals in a win against Florida to put Carolina at 41-14-4 on the year, on pace to win the East handily. Their next game, they met the Pittsburgh Penguins. The 2006 Penguins, Crosby's rookie year, were horrible. Crosby's stardom wasn't an immediate on-switch for the Pens. They had more promise early in 2005, but by March, Ziggy Palffy had gone back home to Slovakia, Mario had re-retired, and the writing was on the wall for many of the veterans as the trade deadline approached. As could have been predicted, the Canes crushed the Penguins early with a shorthanded goal by Cole, his 29th tally of the year, sending Marc-Andre Fleury packing. The Pens made it somewhat interesting, but it really wasn't much of a game after Cole hit the 30-goal plateau to make it 6-2 midway through the second. Then one of the most reckless hits I've ever seen. Brooks Orpik was really the Penguins' only strong defensive defenseman that year, though he was essentially a black hole offensively. He made his money and his reputation as a heavy hitter. He typically operated right at the line of what was acceptable. Here, he crossed it. Cole, in the midst of his fairy tale breakout season, lied motionless on the ice. Cole was the type of player that took hits. He played a physical game himself. Cole's neck was broken. He left the ice on a stretcher. Cole, luckily, wasn't paralyzed, but he wasn't returning to hockey anytime soon. Orpik was suspended for only 3 games. That's Colin Campbell's judgment for you. Campbell seems to allude to Cole putting himself in a vulnerable position when talking to the media about the suspension. Cole was impressively cool when speaking to the media himself. He didn't whine, but he was clear about his distaste for Orpik, the hit, and the league's handling of it. He scorched Orpik, though he opened up graciously in a quote found in the Pittsburgh Trib in an article by Karen Price. "You couldn't say he was trying to break my neck," Cole said. "You could say it was a bad move on his part not to let up, to finish the hit the way he did. Unfortunately, the consequences from the league are not that bad. 3 games for him are like a holiday. 3 games without going out there and getting his lunch handed to him by other teams in the league. Sounds like a pretty good trade-off to me." A decade later, Orpik would get suspended for a hit to the head of Olli Maatta. During that media cycle, Orpik showed a great deal of contrition and remorse for the hit. In 2006, Orpik was sorry for the outcome, but not necessarily the action. Found in Jason Diamos' New York Times article on the hit, "He was driving wide and I thought he was going to keep going wide," Orpik was quoted as saying March 6th in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. "He looked over his left shoulder and saw me coming. It wasn't like he had his back to me and I knew he was in a vulnerable position." Cole had more barbs in the article. Orpik hadn't reached out to Cole for a month after the hit, finally doing so through Mark Recchi, who had been a Penguin at the time of the hit, but became a Hurricane days later. "I've never talked to him," Cole said. "Honestly, I probably wouldn't even speak to him." When asked why he would not accept an apology if Orpik offered one, Cole asked, "Why should I?"
At the time, if somebody had asked me when that happened, I would have said he was the best power forward in the National Hockey League.
You know, to have that happen, not just have it happen, but the timing in the game and where the game was at, it was just so meaningless in the sense that that we had been running away with it, and it was certainly it's frustrating that I feel like I was just starting to play like my best hockey of my career, and now I'm struggling.
But Cole encapsulated his feelings in one final quote to Diamos. "I'm not looking forward to any apologies or whatever," Cole said. "I'm looking forward to playing him again." First, Cole had to get healthy. Without Cole, the Canes struggled compared to how dominant they had been to start the year. They still ended up as the 2nd seed in the East, but they didn't look like as much of a shoo-in to make the Cup final. But the Canes, thanks to Cam Ward catching fire, marched past the Canadiens and Devils without much issue. They outlasted the Sabres in the conference final to meet a weird, not all that good, but they have Chris Pronger Oilers team in the Stanley Cup final. The Canes went up 3-1 in the series, but lost a hard-fought Game 5. In Game 6, with the Cup hanging in the balance, Erik Cole returned. Really, Cole faced major risks playing. It was unlikely he would be paralyzed, but not unlikely that he would greatly impact the injury's healing. But still, the risk of becoming paralyzed was not zero. From another Jason Diamos New York Times article, as for the possibility of becoming paralyzed, Cole said, "This is my life. I've always wanted to be a hockey player. This is what I chose to do with my life." Holy shit, dude. Now, I'd love to say that he had a hat trick or something, but that really wasn't what this was about. In fact, the Canes lost that Game 6, but when Carolina took home the Cup after Game 7, many gave credit to the heart of the returning Cole, a guy who, realistically, should have been nowhere near a hockey game. Truly returning to start the 2006-07 season, Cole was still very good, a very strong player, but he never reached the heights he had in 2006 again. In 2007, there was a massive scare. Cole was hit from behind again into Tomas Vokoun. From the AP game recap, "He was saying something's wrong with my neck," Vokoun said after Carolina's 4-3 victory. "He didn't want to move. It's tough, it's a contact game. Things like that can happen, unfortunately." Again, holy shit, dude. Cole and Orpik hashed out their issues the old-fashioned way in 2008, though the Hurricanes' jersey wasn't tied down and cost him any chance of winning the fight. Cole's neck continued to be an issue for him throughout the rest of his career. As he got older, his rough-and-tumble game changed as he shifted, becoming more of a shooter. It was his neck that forced him to retire in 2015, all stemming from that Orpik hit. As I alluded to earlier, Orpik was only suspended one more time in his career, though he came close a few times. He spent a lot of time battering Jeff Skinner. I don't think he and Cole are friends. Many kids in youth hockey wear stop signs on the back of their jerseys to prevent that Orpik brand of hit from behind. In the case that those hits do happen, they're heavily penalized. Hits from behind at that distance from the boards are maybe the most dangerous in the sport. I'm simultaneously impressed and horrified by Erik Cole's return. It's old-time hockey, that's undeniable. It was also almost as reckless to return as the hit itself.
And it came back that they thought that that bone could heal as much as it could possibly heal, and that possibly it would be no stronger next year at training camp than it was right now.
Every year we hear how many dozens of injuries guys who played in the Stanley Cup final really had. Shea Weber in 2021, Patrice Bergeron in 2013, even someone like Gregory Campbell who still played through his broken leg, which somehow got everyone to forget that his dad asked the refs to stop calling so many penalties on him. Inevitably, these injury lists are turned into comparisons against whatever NBA player and posted by pages on Instagram or Facebook called epic #1 hockey memes. Hockey fans, we have a pride in the toughness of the sport's athletes, but there's also something a little nasty about that. Celebrating these guys like Cole who risk serious damage in the pursuit of a Stanley Cup. I'm generally a guy with pretty strong opinions, but this dynamic has always been conflicting to me. What Cole did to come back is stunning to me in a positive and a negative way. Inspiring, but ultimately costly. I'm obviously not blaming Cole for the injury or his career ending. That's on Orpik. He made the hit. To reframe the situation, though, those 2 games in the spring of 2006 where Cole came back were the only 2 Cup final games of his career. He put himself on the line knowing that was a possibility, knowing that he may never get another chance like that. It brings me back to Cole's quote, "This is my life. I've always wanted to be a hockey player. This is what I chose to do with my life." Cole risked it all to live his dream. Even if it was just for a second, that was all worth it to him. Everything he worked for, every shot, every goal, led to that moment, that return, because that's what his dream always was. Not everyone gets to live their dream. And even if you think it was stupid, or dangerous, or short-sighted, Erik Cole got to live his dream.
So Jokinen, here they come along with Cole. You'll see Jokinen, Erik Cole. He scores!